together to sort of move you towards whatever career milestones you're seeking. And it's not rocket science. I'm sure if you sat down and thought about it and carved out time to do this, you could have accomplished this without sort of the NFA structure. Our experience shows us that we just don't typically do that. You might think, oh, I just don't have time for this. How can I build in time for this? It could be as simple as saying, the first Thursday of the month is when I spend 2 hours thinking about my career plan. How am I doing? What am I missing? Where have I misstepped? Because really the rest of it is rinse and repeat and modify, making sure that this document actually works for you. And so the rest of what we're going to talk about are just ways to improve what you've already started, maybe ideas to kind of tickle your mind a bit in a different way to think about how it might work for you. But there's no sort of more news flashes here. This is a roadmap to success if you let it be, if you let this thing help you move your career off. Really what we're going to start to do is just refine what we've already put together. Just for transparency, I will let you know that I'm going to try to finish up around 9:15 because I have a class at 9:30. I don't want it to feel terribly rushed, but I want to make sure that we have some time to kind of sit and reflect on it. Okay. Any thoughts about this? Any reactions, comments?
Yeah, I think one thing is just a recognition that doing this kind of planning actually saves you time in the long run. Right? It's a little bit of a time sink at the beginning, but it's.
You should see his personal plan. His plan. He's got.
Yeah.
Did she show you?
No, he hasn't showed me.
Change. I didn't know that I have it. Right?
Yeah.
No, he's got. He has the master planner extraordinaire.
Well, it took us a while on the CFI to realize that we needed to do this for our programs, right? Now we backwards plan all our programs because every year we were like, when do we start TAPS? When do we send that email out? Like, seriously, we are wasting time because we haven't planned it accordingly. And I can stand here now and smile about it because we're now much better planners, but it's kind of embarrassing to intimate that we weren't really very good at it to start off with. So yeah, you save yourself a lot of time, and I think the other thing I just thought of is that you make sure you don't miss key opportunities that are only around, select times during the year, like grant deadlines and other workshops or other kinds of things. Other thoughts, yeah?
Well, one thing I've always said, again, in my career, done a lot of planning, helping people career planning, etc. is one of the keys, and a lot of people know they have to do this, and a lot of people do it, but how many of us have written these things down and then never looked at it again? Right? The key and the secret, I use it from Shane also did some martial arts background, you'll understand this. You can't walk forward and have something in front of you because you can't see where you're going. You can't put it behind you because you'll never see it. You kind of keep it on the side in your peripheral vision. Right? Kind of like on this thing, like a side shelf. As you go about life, you know it's there. If you need to, you can see it, you know it's there. You can reflect on it by a quick glance. So in other words, once you do this, just get into the habit. Once a week, once a month, every so often, take a look at it. Have I done the things to match along the way? And eventually, it just keeps going. And like I mentioned to you, the thing that we did with the mission statement. We all talk about the mission statement. We worked on that. What I did in my office, I put it right on the board. It's there every single day. I see it every day. And I had one student that added to it one day in class, when I was in one session, added something to it. So I like it.
I think there's a lot of value in what you're saying, to actually hang something in your office. We do a similar kind of planning activity for the Course Design Institute, and I participated for one of the courses I taught. And I keep that, I had to draw a picture of my vision of that class, and I keep that picture in my office, and when I'm working on that class, I look up at it, right, this is the point. Don't get distracted from the point. And even if you can't read it, if you just have this hanging on your wall, it reminds you that it's there. And kind of maybe it encourages you to try to live up to it, or at least modify it. So yeah, thanks. I think those little kind of tricks are really worthwhile. Any other ideas or comments? How it felt?
It helps to step back and look at the big picture. That really kind of turns the volume down on the hysteria of the day-to-day. The day-to-day is just this constant grind, but it just kind of makes all that seem like, okay, just relax a little bit. There's bigger things going on.
Yeah, it's really easy to get caught up in the million fires that experience already that's started to happen. Especially in the first couple of weeks of the semester. And that, again, you can start to feel the ebb and flow of the semesters and when it's most insane for you and when it is an opportunity for you to do this and when it might not be. You know, when you really can't put your head in it because you're like, oh, no way, I can't do that now. Or you don't want to do it at 8 o'clock in the morning. You'd rather do it later in the day. You know, so you have to figure that out for yourself. I know we're forcing you to be here. Well, not really. I'm not.
What's your, I guess for you too, what's your advice on, you know, you can plan time to write, but you need to, kind of need to want to write well. You know what I mean? So if you plan time to write, it's not always when you want to, and then you're not happy with what you're writing. How do you get good at that?
I use Pomodoro. I don't know if anyone else uses that. It's like a self-timer, so that it kind of forces me to change tasks throughout the day, but I kind of set the timer and I'm like, all right, for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to write on whatever it is I have to get done that day. And for me, I just put it on my schedule for the day. All right, I have to write this, and it's usually something I don't want to do. But I find the time that's best in the day and I set my timer, and that usually works for me. And I know it's a limited time. I'm only going to do it for that 30 minutes. I'm way more productive.
But you know what I mean? It's like you can only be productive if you want to do it.
That's true.
Because you're creating something intentional.
When I have to write something, and I'm chemistry, or my field is chemistry, so it always has to be some, you know, chemistry, technical, whatever. I always go back to what my high school creative writing teacher said, and what she taught us how to write poems and all that other stuff. Was that if you don't feel like you want to be productive, like you don't want to sit down and write, you think, sort of put your mind set in the mindset of a writer who doesn't want to write either, who has like writer's block. And what they do is they start to brainstorm. So if you want to get yourself in the right mindset to start to be productive, if you just write down short ideas or single words or write bubbles that connect to different bubbles with different ideas about what you sort of want to do,
sure,
then that's sort of like writing an outline, but it's not the structure of an outline, and it sort of gets your juices going, and then you can flesh it out from there. That helps me.
Yeah, sure.
I think planning the time of day too makes a big difference, because I had a conversation with some of my colleagues. One of my colleagues read something last semester that like you should actually teach at a time when you're not your most productive, so that because you have to be on because you're there, so you have to do it, but then save the time when you're like the most productive for like writing. So like if you know there's a time you like to work on something, set that time aside first.
Brilliant idea, because you're going to bring your game to teach
Yeah.
you, even if it's not during your A game time.
Sure.
But you never want to bring your game. I personally never want to bring my A game to writing ever. You know, that's just not like in my toolbox. Oh, this is fun. I want to do that. You know, part of it is trying to just figure out when is the right time for you to write, and that writing is not about. And one of the things I've learned about it is writing is not about an end product always. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of just sort of getting ideas out. And what I've used lately, I've used all these other tricks, but the one that's really helped me the most is a program called Freedom. And Freedom will shut the internet down on your computer. You can't turn it back on, even though you want to. And so what I'll do is I'll go in there and I'll tell it I want to write for an hour. I'll start an hour Freedom session. And for that hour, nothing is coming in. There's no little dings or bings or whatever. I can't think, oh, what's playing at Ford Center next week? Because we all have these random thoughts that we can just so easily satisfy in the internet land. And I will do that to a fault. And so that really helps me too. And I think your idea is a really good one. And I talk with my students about it. Like, if you don't know what to write, just anything. You know, lists, you know, words. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. Right?
But you said something earlier, I think I've heard people mention it, but it seemed to go around too quickly. When you get creative.
Yeah.
Everyone is different at different times. Some people's muse hits them when they first wake up in the morning. Others, myself for example, my muse hits me when I get creative, like 11, 12 o'clock at night, when I'm actually a little tired and everything else is kind of like drains away, and then I like free associate. By the way, you talked, did you like the writer's block thing? Who was it? You? Who said that, mentioned that? Carol? Oh.
Yeah, well, I think
Freedom,
also-
she's talking about.
Oh,
freedom.
if you get writer's block, remember Risky Business?
Mhm.
Okay. Do a risky business, put on, play music loud, just do something completely, totally opposite what you want to. And it usually just gets out there.
I read an article too that said that we associate our places with different tasks. So if you only write in your office and that's all you do, then you grade paper somewhere else and you do like play on the internet somewhere else and don't surf or anything. If you only do that task in that place, then your mind sets to that. So I sort of do that with my office where I try not to surf online or anything like that when I'm in there and I want just to do work stuff, because if it turns into that play place, then I'm never going to do any work when I'm in there.
You also don't want to check it out.
That's why you're not
Sites
supposed to
going
nap
through.
in your office.
Just kidding.
There's lots of reasons you shouldn't nap in your office, but that's one of them.
The part about, sometimes the research we're doing or writing that we're doing is that, for me it's informed by reading. And I'll take notes on my reading and then I'll realize, oh, I need to get another paper. So there's parts of my writing endeavor that I need the internet for. So, but I think you're right, this location, if you need, like for me it's like some coffee shops are better than others, but there's a coffee shop with a biscotti and a cappuccino that calls my name when I'm really struggling with writing, because it just takes it and
Whatever works.
Yeah, whatever works.
Yeah.
You just have to trick yourself.
Yeah, I have a very hard time tricking myself into doing, like it's very hard to say like this is when I will do creative work,
Well, and that's where you might need a buddy.
Yeah.
There's online writing.
Lockdown stuff.
There are online writing clubs, and I've participated in those in the past. And you log in each day, and you basically give your goals and objectives, and how at the end of the day you kind of go in and you put down how much you've written. But you could just have someone across the hall, or someone in your personal life could help you with that. Whatever you feel would help you hold yourself accountable. Because at the end of the day, that's really what you're looking for, is a sense of accountability. Like basically, I think if someone told you you needed to do it by the end of the day, you'd probably be like, all right. But in this world where nobody's really doing that for us, it's easy for us to figure out, like, well, I'll just do that some other time. It's not like I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to do it some other time. And then that pile of things that we're going to do at some other time becomes so monstrously large that you can't even begin to think about it. It's like you'd rather organize your computer files, because nobody organizes CDs anymore, right? You'd rather just organize your computer files than do whatever monstrous other task it is. And I'm telling you, the computer file is a monstrous task, and you'd rather do that than something more productive. Any other comments or thoughts? All right, well, let me just quickly go through some of the ideas around these last few slides that we have in the last few minutes. When you're thinking of purpose, you want to make sure that they kind of really align with your careers and kind of harmonize with what you're trying to do each day. Here are some examples of some good purpose statements. Be a leader in higher education who champions academia as a unique institution in the life of a democracy. That is certainly not one that I worked on. Our previous assistant director who put together this workshop. Definitely. Give journalism students the skills to see truth and report it. My purpose is to teach and write in ways that brings alive the value of being a critical, close reader of contemporary culture. And this is a really good one. This idea really gets at, okay, so this is something that's really important to me, then I'm going to try to embed that into my teaching. So what does it mean to be a close reader? Then you start to read literature about close reading, and then you might actually start to be a scholar in this area. A lot of stuff unpack out of some of these purpose statements. So you don't want your purpose statement to be, I want to write 5 papers. That's really a purpose. That's more of the objectives that would be embedded underneath these purpose statements. Here's another example. I don't think we really have time to taken together, goals, objectives, and activities should fulfill your purpose and put your values in concrete actions. They should be focused. Sometimes I call them SMART, right? SMART objectives. This is probably less kitschy. Focus, clear, precise, and measurable. Like you should be able to know that you've achieved them. So when you're writing something in, the little task box, it shouldn't be this kind of, really general thing that you can't say, what, I accomplished that. And I don't know. You know better than I whether you're at the end of the day going to grade yourself on what you've accomplished. Okay? So there's some people that are like, I didn't finish my list. Right? And I know faculty members that tell me that every single day. Like, I just didn't get done what I wanted to get done. How many times have you heard people say that? So what is it you're trying to get done? And can you create the realistic to-day list versus the week list versus the month list, okay? And so you shouldn't have a list that has 100 things on it that you're trying to accomplish every day, because you'll never have a sense of accomplishment, and over time, that kind of messes with you. Your overall sense of value, like you just think like, I go to work and I don't get done what I want to get done, then what are you trying to get done? And versus what is it you are actually doing? That's a real problem there. And I think it takes kind of sort of maybe that list approach to realize I'm actually doing the wrong things at work. I'm not spending time doing the things that at the end of the day when I go home, you know, people are like, how was your day? And you're like, crap, I didn't get done. I mean, how many times do you want to tell that to your spouse or partner or your kids or yourself? The mirror. Like, I didn't get done what I wanted to get done. What did you do? I answered emails all day? Well, is that an important task? Is that part of one of these values? For me, it most certainly is because of the role that I play. I can't just not reply to emails, but do I have to reply to all of them in order for me to feel accomplished and done for the day? I hope not, because then I never feel that way. So I think it's really important to kind of think through that realism when you're looking at these goals and objectives. And you know, I do think that, you know, as we were saying before, if this just stays on this piece of paper, then you know this activity just sort of isn't going to make any really inroads into your world. But that it's got to start on that piece of paper, and then it's got to start with you just identifying weeks or dates, right? And then it's got to go into the kind of granularity. Like maybe Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays look different than Tuesdays and Thursdays. Maybe your teaching days look different than your non-teaching days. And over time, I can tell you that as careers evolve here at JMU, at least the way, if I kind of reflect on mine, I don't know about yours, that there's a rhythm to it. I tend to teach a similar schedule in the fall that I teach in the spring. And you want to try to get that kind of rhythm for yourself. I do certain kinds of things in the summer that I don't do in the fall. And because I study an animal that only breeds in the spring, the certain kind of research can only be done in the spring and not done in the fall. So you don't want every semester to be a brand new adventure. You know, you don't want your unit head to tell you every time you meet with them that you're going to teach three brand new courses next semester. No. And you're going to teach it at 50 different times than you were teaching it before. Like, no. So you want to try to advocate for some sort of normalcy for yourself, reflecting, I think, really nicely what you were suggesting, Noel, which is that, you know, maybe I don't want to be teaching at the A time for myself. I never even thought of it that way. That's really great advice. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with this notion right here, that you want, you know, sort of your level of granularity to be focused, clear, precise, and measurable. And I appreciate you guys coming out, and I hope you find these parking lots more effectively next time. And I will be at Bella Luna for a little bit tonight around 5, so I hope to see somebody there. I don't think it's going to start until tomorrow, so get your boots. Snowmageddon, part 2 maybe. Thank you.